Hello friends, a large number of organizations are moving towards automations to reduce the cost and effort. Now, to make the automation, AWS DevOps play a very significant role. Today, I am going to share a few things about AWS DevOps. AWS DevOps is primarily divided into 4 or 5 categories. Primarily, one is of course the microservice side. Second is monitoring and logging. Third is platform as a service. 4 is infrastructure as a code, and 5 is version control. So if your applications is primarily microservice architecture driven, then AWS DevOps will give you the EKS, AWS EKS, which is highly scalable, performance-oriented infrastructure platform, where you deploy your microservices into AWS EKS, and that will be scalable, performed. As you move your load, the infrastructure will be automatically optimized and make sure that it will never break and give a seamless user experience to the customer. So AWS EKS is one of the best infrastructure platform as far as microservice deployment is concerned. Of course, if you have a slightly light microservice component, then AWS Lambda is another component where you can leverage as a serverless platform. You would just write your microservices and deploy into AWS Lambda, and AWS Lambda will take care overall deployment, overall the infrastructure to run as a virtual machine for you, and you don't have to bother about the underlying managing your microservices, underlying scalability, and so on and so forth. So AWS Lambda is another serverless infrastructure component to deploy your microservices. Now come to the logging and monitoring. AWS CloudWatch is another primary tools to make sure that your application's logs are tracked, make sure that you are able to debug and able to look at the issues that happened after you deploy your solutions. So AWS CloudWatch is primarily the log file tracking tools. Then AWS Audit Trail is another solutions from DevOps side to make sure that your APIs activities are completely tracked, and you are able to debug your applications during deployment and during production environment. Now, third important component is infrastructure as a platform. Now, most of the pupils, either it is provisioning your hardware, provisioning your platform services, or provisioning your applications, they prefer to go through code as a infrastructure. So you can quickly, using AWS Cloud Foundation, you can deploy your infrastructure within 5 to 10 minutes if you have application is not big enough. So your server, your platforms, your database, you can quickly create through your code and deploy and create and make ready for overall scalability purpose. So what I essentially means, AWS Foundation has some of the template, or you can create your own to create the infrastructure through your code, right? And then platform as a service. AWS EKS Bin is one of the pioneering tools to make your infrastructure very highly scalable. There are underlying VMs that will make your scalability. You write your code and deploy it. AWS EKS Stick Bin will make sure that it is highly scalable, performs, and nothing to worry from infrastructure side. And last but not least, the version controlling tool, which is again one of the very popular tool. AWS code build will make sure that you are able to upload your code irrespective whether it's a jar file, bin file, or source code, and you can seamlessly collaborate with other developers to develop a highly robust code that can be consumed by the customers and give overall best user experience. So all in all, AWS DevOps is one of the best automation tools for your software development. So keep learning, keep growing. Till then, bye bye.